Man, what's good with YouTube? It's your boy Rojo, Convict's Perspective. You know what time it is, man. Today, I'm gonna address something that's been addressed a few times already, but I found a couple little other things about this individual that might not have been disclosed, and this is gonna be about, as you could tell in the title, good old Phantom from Fresno. And a lot of people say what they want to say about Phantom, like him, don't like him, whatever. The fact is, though, man, the dude has handled his business. I mean, when you look at it from a gang perspective, he's there's nothing you could say about him that that shows any kind of weakness or anything. Now, do we advocate violence or gang activity? Of course not. You guys know that we don't advocate it. But I found it interesting, man, because I had never heard like what it was his original cases that got him sent away. I never knew what they were, man. So I'm gonna get into it, man. This is from cncpunishment.com. Convicted murderer gets death. Man convicted of murdering his cellmate is now facing the death penalty. Jurors decided the fate of Robert Galvan, 37, after just 30 minutes of deliberation. Their decision marked the end of a trial that lasted for almost 4 weeks. Galvan was the sole suspect in the murder of Robert Johnson, 29, who was found dead in their shared cell at California State Prison, Corcoran, September 16th. September 16th, interesting, 2010. At the time, Galvan was already serving 3 consecutive life terms for robbery, kidnapping for ransom, and several cases of assault with a deadly weapon. So many, in fact, that Snyder said it didn't make any sense for the district attorney's office to prosecute them all. Like he had so many cases, they were just like, man, we'll just get him on these ones where we got a slam dunk case and we'll run with it. You know what I mean? He was out there doing that stuff. Boy. On one occasion, while being transferred back to prison in July of 12, Galvan got out of his handcuffs and stabbed a correction officer so badly the man was forced to retire. Now, this is one comment that I didn't like right here. The only way to say it is that this individual is the poster child for the death penalty. Now, I mean, your job is to prosecute a case, but as far as, putting it out there in society that this person deserves extra this or that, that's kind of, in my opinion, I could be totally off base here. In my opinion, that's kind of prejudice. I could see seeking the death penalty, man, but saying like this guy extra doopty doopty doop, that puts a message into people's heads that, hey, this dude deserves a death penalty. It's already locked in your head. I don't know. That's kind of it seems kind of a strange statement. You know what I mean? Prosecute your case to the fullest, whoop-de-whoop, but that sounds like a personal feeling that's interjected. I don't know, man. That statement didn't sit right with me, and I can't quite pinpoint why. I mean, yeah, if you're eligible for the death penalty and they go after the death penalty, I get it. It's the law. When you commit these crimes, there's certain consequences. You know what I mean? And there's no reason, I see all these people that like freak out and stuff when they get the death penalty, they get life. When the evidence is 99.99999%, guaranteeing that they did it via DNA, cameras, multiple eyewitnesses, things of that nature. But tell me what you guys think about that particular statement, man. It seems kind of, I don't know. Jurors reached a guilty verdict in the murder case late last week. The penalty phase of the trial lasted through Wednesday. Galvan will return to court on May 15th to be formally sentenced. We're happy with this verdict. Snyder said the jurors couldn't in good conscience give him another life term. He's already serving 3 without parole. What else could they give him? I get it. I understand that. The last time someone was sentenced to death in Kings County was in 2010. Now this is a little bit about the background. A lifer at Corcoran State Prison has been sentenced to death for murdering his cellmate. Handed down the sentence for Galvan hearing Wednesday. Galvan was immediately taken to death row in San Quentin. All right. Now this is another thing that I didn't know too, is the dude that he supposedly killed or was found guilty of killing was only a month to the house. Like, damn, you couldn't get along for 30 more days. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, bro. You'd have to really. I've never been, one of them people who does hella time. You know what I mean? I've got lucky. I've got 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 2 years, et cetera, some violations. I've never got broke off for none of the the things that could have really sent me away for a while. So I mean, when you got life without already, you're on a whole different mentality. And that's another thing you youngsters out there need to realize, man. You go in there 5, 6, 7 years, 3 years, you're around some other dudes that are never going home. With that being said, their tolerance for any kind of bullshit, disrespect, feel like they're getting played, owe them money, they have nothing in the world to lose at all. A visit, commissary, they're they're going to be more concerned with setting the point and not playing with me. You know what I mean? Than worrying about some commissary and some visits. At least some of them, man. So be careful, man. You don't want to be in prison, bro. I'm telling you, there's people in there they'll do some crazy stuff, bro, for some trivial reasons, man. Galvan told investigators that he killed Johnson because a cellmate had disrespected him, calling him stupid. Pretty petty, Phantom. Come on, brother. I'd have let that slide personally, but I'd have been like, whatever, your mama's stupid. Johnson, and he was punishing Johnson for violating an unwritten rule not to complain to guards about disputes with cellmates. Okay. If he was snitching, straight out snitching about something, okay, that's how some people handle their business, especially when you're a life without. There we go again. You youngsters, you get in there with some of these dudes, bro. You could do one thing, they'll peel your cap. Likewise, you could peel their cap too, but do you want to be in that position when you got 3 years where you have to kill somebody? Get on the level 3s and level 4s. People ain't necessarily trying to throw hands. They're trying to run something all the way through your body. Okay. Anyway, that's why Phantom said he killed the dude. After attacking his public defender in 2011 and breaking his nose, Galvan served as his own lawyer. In July, while being taken back to Corcoran from court, he slipped his own handcuffs and stabbed a guard 5 times with an inmate-made weapon. Galvan was in Corcoran serving 4 consecutive life terms, 2 for kidnapping, robbery, and ransom, when an evening at the movies turned into a night of terror for a young couple who were carjacked outside of Fresno Theater. The couple, both in their 20s, had just left Edwards Cinemas on North Blackstone Avenue when they were accosted by a man with a knife. The woman was forced into a backseat and her companion ordered to drive to an ATM where he took money out and handed it to the kidnapper. Instead of letting them go, he forced them to drive to several other ATMs, but they were unable to withdraw more money. The male victim said his mother would give him money, so they drove to her apartment in Clovis. While the son went inside, the robber held the woman hostage in his car. The mother telephoned Clovis police, while her boyfriend, driving his own car, agreed to lead the robber and hostages to an ATM in Clovis, where officers surrounded the bank and arrested Galvan. The young couple, now married, testified during the penalty phase. While in the Fresno County Jail, Galvan attacked a correctional officer, which he got his 3rd life sentence. The 4th was for assaulting an inmate with a weapon at Salinas Valley. He is the absolute poster for the death penalty, Snyder said in March. Now let's see when he got sentenced. Now see, if he said that prior to the conclusion of the case, that could be construed as jury tampering. You know what I mean? By throwing out things like that, which insinuate that one person deserves a specific penalty. Now, it's a death penalty case. I see you going for the death penalty, but putting those kind of blanket statements out there could likely be influential to a jury. Now, whether he deserves it or not, that's not up for me to judge. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, Phantoms have been out there handling his business. A lot of people say, oh, he's a cell soldier and all this and that. Facts show otherwise, man. There's he was out there putting in that work, man. For whatever reason, he was doing it. I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? I don't really know him, but this is the point of the story, man, is you guys got to remember, he's a smaller dude. He ain't no big monster. He ain't Flacco size. You know what I mean? He ain't strength cartel size. But there's people in there, bro, that they don't think the way most people think. Whereas if I bumped into you and said, excuse me, I think it's a done deal. You bump into the wrong person to say, excuse me, they might have thought you were saying, excuse me, being sarcastic, or you had a funny look in your face. You know what I mean? There's people out there that live by a different set of rules. And you guys out there that might be gangbanging on the streets, man, 1% 1% of gangsters are really willing to push the complete envelope to a whole nother level. If the numbers were higher, there'd be a lot more murders and stuff in prison. You know what I mean? But at the same time, man, you go in there and it's nothing, man. You get into you come in as a level two. Say you got auto theft. You come in there as a level two. You get in one fight, man, that might put you up into the 30 something point range. Now you're level three. You know what I mean? There's a little incident on the yard. You know what I mean? You get caught with the weapon, you know what I'm saying? Or you have contraband that could be weapon stock, a little less serious of a charge. Man, you end up on that level four real quick, man, as a first termer, not even in there on no serious stuff. Next thing you know, you're walking with, you're on a yard where 80% of the people are doing at least 15, 17 years. And they live by a different code. There's a different moral compass when it comes to individuals like that. And yeah, you could probably be successful. Go there, do your time, follow the rules, mind your own business, stay humble, be respectful. You could go home. But there's a lot of people in there that don't want to see you go home as well. And some of them are in your own car, you know. You're in a group where there's 7, 8 people, ain't none of them ever going home. And you're going home in 2 years. Deep down inside, a lot of people will resent you for that. Most won't. Don't get me wrong. Most won't. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of good dudes. Like, my definition of a good dude probably varies way more than anybody else's in society, just because of the lifestyle that I've lived. But there's a lot of good dudes in prison that don't want you, that are kind of like me, that don't want you to mess up. They don't want you to be in prison. They don't want you to disappoint your parents. They don't want you to disappoint your children. They want you to own a home and have that truck you want, have that boat you want, and the four-wheelers, and you know what I mean, property, whatever the case might be, whatever your aspirations are. They want to see you get that because they're in there doing life and they don't want to see it for you. And they know that they weren't living the right way, and that's why they're in there. But there's some people, bro, that deep down inside, like, man, this motherfucker got a year to the house, or somebody's coming on the yard that needs to be, you know, removed. We're gonna send that dude to do it. And they're gonna come up with some kind of reason in their head to justify it, like, oh, he's got to put in his work. Dude, there's 15 people in there that ain't never going home. Have one of them do it. You know what I mean? So, you run into Phantom, you run in there's a couple hundred Phantoms in there, bro. They're not playing. You know what I mean? His cellie called him stupid. It cost him his life. I mean, I'm sure there's more to the story than that, but you never know, because there's people that are like that. Like, man, just a simple, what are you looking at? Man, that could get your ticket punched, bro. You know what I mean? But anyway, man, I mean, Phantom's about that action, bro. As far as being a gang member, I see a lot of people, back and forth bickering about Phantom this, Snoop that, whatever. The fact of the matter is, there's nothing out there bad about Phantom. You know what I mean? From a gang perspective, you know, is he fit for society, man? It's not really. I mean, let's keep it 100. You know what I mean? Let's keep it all the way 100. You know, it's a messed up position for me trying to be impartial because of my priors. You know what I mean? My priors should have me. I mean, I wouldn't be on death row, but I should be struck out. You know what I mean? And unless, in the way I was back then, and this is why I don't mind saying things about people being fit or not. 15 plus years ago, I shouldn't have been allowed on the streets because I was a dangerous human being. I was subject to do anything that came through my mind if you played with me. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? Would I have wanted a 26-year-old me on the streets and my 46-year-old me? Not a chance, bro. Not a chance. So, when I say, we did a thing about the boxer from the MA and should he be allowed on the streets? Well, of course, until we learned about some other stuff, and people were like, oh, you shouldn't judge and this and that. You're right. It's not my position. I'm not a judge. I'm not a district attorney. But I can tell you the real from someone who's been there and done that, and someone who will willingly admit that I shouldn't have been allowed on the streets either. You know what I mean? So I'm humbling myself by saying that I wasn't fit for society as well. And so based on my personal beliefs and thoughts and morals, I feel qualified. I feel qualified, not saying you guys think I am, to be able to say, man, that dude, that dude's the thing, it's not safe to have some people as your neighbors, bro. You know, when they got crimes against children, you commit a crime against my children, I'll willingly do anything I can, regardless of death penalty, regardless of life in prison. You come around my house, you shoot up my house, you do whatever, you better hope the police get to you first. And that's one thing that'll never change. So just leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain people that shouldn't be allowed in society. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be rehabilitated. You know what I mean? The risks of their behavior are too high to consider giving them another chance. You know what I mean? And don't don't keep playing around in them streets and think that this gang life is cool. You know, it's hip. You know, the hip hop culture, prison culture, it's cool. Everybody's on TikTok. We're here on YouTube, Instagram, but we're here telling you it's not all crip walking and spreading and rapping and lifting weights. Nah, bro. You know, it's about survival, straight up. You know, and your homeboys in there will quickly turn into the ones you have to watch the most, especially with this in the hostility stuff. You're not watching the Southsiders. The Southsiders aren't watching the Northerners. I mean, they are, of course, because there's certain policies and procedures, but it's not instilled in the back of your brain that every lap around the track is danger. You know what I'm saying? So you guys got to get out of this lifestyle that whatever these rappers say about, you know, having these 100-round drums and being gangster and kicking it with the homies and having a piece in the pen and doing removals is cool, because you will find out the hard way that it's not. And that's today's message for the youth. And for you guys who are banging that ain't been to the pen, it ain't as cool as you think it is, bro. Don't get fooled. You know what I mean? Hundreds of thousands of people got fooled by colors and started little gangs. You know what I'm saying? Don't get fooled, bro. It's a it's life altering, man. It's life or death, or it's an extreme amount of time in prison. I know I've kind of rambled on. I'm on here by myself today, but I just wanted to reach out with you. Found Phantom's case interesting about, you know, the little surrounding circumstances, and you know, he's not one of them weirdos that are on death row. He's on death row for being about that action, and you know, and that's the difference. But remember, guys, when you're out there on the streets, there's a couple hundred Phantoms in prison, man. It ain't all fun and games, man. It ain't kicking it with the homies. It ain't riding on ops. It ain't none of it. Ain't getting all this cool clutcher. Yeah, the clutch is good because you can use it in other forms of life, but you can read all that stuff on the internet from the safety of your own home as well. It's your boy Rojo, Convict's Perspective. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.